Chapter 41. Famous. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translated by me, edited by Geppetro. Presently the App Store sells all of kinds of normal quality tools and a small portion of small-scale uncommon quality tools. A normal quality mobile pulsed plasma cutter was quickly purchased by Yi Qing. This was an upgraded version of the regular plasma cutter. Using high-frequency pulses, it creates electrical arc bullet-like impacts on the cutting component. Compared to a normal plasma cutter, the technology gap here was just like the difference between a handheld drill and a hammer drill. Moreover, the pulsed plasma cutter also has plus 15% cutting abilities and plus 5% cutting efficiency properties. The machine cost Yi Qing 80 gold coins, but now that the Monster Factory's first product is about to hit production, the need for this machine later on will definitely increase. When Yi Qing returned back to the Silver Palace, the hallway was swarming with people. Even a news team consisting of a cameraman and a female reporter was on site. The cameraman's red jacket had the words Zhongyin Television Station printed on it. The female reporter looked very young, with a professional-like ponytail. She probably didn't have time to put on any makeup before rushing here as spots of freckles could still be seen. It's just that they were awkwardly waiting in the lobby. From the looks of things, 2 security guards clearly blocked them from entering the hallway and didn't permit them to interview any of their sensitive clients inside. With Yi Qing in front, 4 other security guards were pushing a refrigerator-sized, and from the looks of it, very advanced equipment. The female reporter with the cameraman in tow, lifted the microphone and asked Yi Qing if that machine back there was going to be used to cut open the door. Yes, I'm just a regular worker for Clear Sky Cutting Tool Manufacture. As soon as Yi Qing introduced himself, he immediately advertised his factory. Our factory possess many advanced machinery, there won't be any problem cutting open this door. From what I heard, the cutting team from Hongshin shipyard came and went like the wind. The reporter found this to be somewhat hilarious, there's just too many people boasting about themselves these days. They brought so much equipment with them yet they still failed. Now you come here with only 1 machines, where does your confidence come from? This isn't a problem of how much equipment there is, this is a problem that lies with the gap in technology. Good thing the team from Hongshin shipyard already left, otherwise if they heard this, then they would definitely run forward and start piking Yi Qing. From what we know of, the door at the end of the hall there is one of America's proudest blast-proof vault door, it's even proven to be demolition-proof. The reporter is probably someone who reveres everything foreign, so within her public smile hides a hint of ridicule. Very sorry, but I've never heard of your company. And I know exactly how powerful Hongshin shipyard is. Last month, we were even at their yard witnessing the christening of a 70,000 tons cargo carrier. You don't understand the industry at all, and American technology also isn't as mysterious as you think it is. Yi Qing gave the camera a smile, then headed for the hallway with 2 security guard escorts. Noon of the next day, many families after finishing their lunch, were all sitting comfortably in front of the television listening and looking at Zhongyin Television Station's noon news. Zhongyin Television Station had poor viewership for the past several years, so they cut many shows for budget concerns. However, a new female director came into power last year, and she applied bold and decisive reforms. She was no longer looking for people with experience, but people with the ability to perform. Many individuals with distinguishing features were promoted to become hosts and anchors of many different shows. Not only that, but the shows themselves had incorporated many elements from the current society. Sweeping in like a hurricane, she didn't even use half a year before she pulled the station's viewership back to 07 levels, before the existence of mobile networks. The new anchor for the noon news was a calm and composed youngster. Except this girl had a major problem. She's normally tolerable with announcing the regular everyday news, but as soon as some breaking news occurs or any piece piques his interest, she'll become tongue-tied during live broadcasts. If this was the other 99% of TV stations, just getting excited on air alone was enough to have this anchor frozen and unable to make an appearance for 500 years. But Zhongyun's new daring director has a different view on this altogether. Instead of the norm, she thinks that this was a specialty, this was something that was easily able to catch the attention of their viewership. As facts have shown, her decision was absolutely correct. With this new anchor at the helm, the viewership of the noon news increased by more than threefold. Many housewives fell in love with this easily excited youngster. Today's noon news, just like before, was also very entertaining. Immediately off the bat was a piece where several leading figures in Zhongyun encouraged all residents to work for a common purpose. To help keep the city clean and civilized, so that Zhongyun can strive for the title of the nation's cleanest and most civilized city. After came an interesting piece of report about something that happened on Sci-fi Street. The curbstones there were all swapped out for new curbstones with carvings on them. This is a report that closely related with many residents' livelihoods, so it piqued many residents' interests. Those delicate carvings, artistic drawings, had them all imagine how they would feel if the curbstones in front of their homes were replaced with these. Before the shock of the curbstone faded, the anchor again excitingly reported another piece of heavy news. Last night, 3 suspects who dared to extensively sell easy-to-make chemical drugs, were all caught within a high-end entertainment club. In addition, the whole capture was filled with complications, like a Hollywood blockbuster. The anchor didn't mention which entertainment club this occurred in, but the reporter on site, being unable to enter the hallway to film real-time footage, with deep anger, had the camera do a sweep outside, which included in the establishment's name board. The audience, with eyes wide open and an extremely nervous frame of mind, all wanted to know how blockbuster this was. Yet the course of events didn't let the audience down, as the reporter, using both words and pictures, explained everything from the beginning to the end. Then when it came time for the police to catch the suspects, 2 outrageous criminals, not caring about the threat of the guns, bolted into this establishment's precious storeroom. With a switch of pictures, a video segment clearly filmed from a cell phone appeared. Now 2 locksmiths were turning in circles in front of this platinum-like door. They were clearly recorded down as they introduced everything they know about the door in front of them. Specially designed for gold and jewel vaults, American-built, multiple defenses, and even explosions have a hard time penetrating this door. The audience seriously went wild. The company that the 2 locksmiths work for were quite well known, moreover, many of the locks on the city residents' doors were from this company. Now they're just like clowns, standing there beside the door without a trace of courage to give opening the door a try. The second segment of the video was also shot by a cell phone, but the video quality was much better. A pair of workers clearly wearing Hongshin shipyard uniforms, with their equipment and support team, walked into the hall. Hongshin shipyard is widely known by Zhongyun's residents. Last month when they christened a carrier-sized cargo transporter, even the vice mayor attended the ceremony. With them cutting the door, what's there stopping them? Much of the audience had this kind of thought, and were all giddily waiting for the door to be cut open and for the 2 criminals to be wonderfully apprehended. Sadly, after several minutes of being under the burning heat of oxyacetylene, not even a centimeter-deep dent was made. In most ordinary citizens' eyes, oxyacetylene cutting is already omnipotent. It was able to cut through almost everything and anything. Except, who would have thought it would be this useless in front of this door? This American-made technical door left the audience with a deep impression. When a large-sized equipment was hauled in by several workers, even the anchor was excited to the point of stuttering on introducing this piece of equipment, and how powerful it was, how reliable it was. The ruthless reality, again, firmly shattered everyone's expectation. This piece of equipment, after spending 20 minutes, only made a 10-centimeter deep gash. Yet this door was freaking 30 centimeter thick. Hongshin shipyard, which carried of the audience's hopes and dreams, crushed it, then dejectedly packed up their gear and fled from this humiliation. Some of the audience was laughing, some was pissed, and some felt powerless. America's technical superiority was seriously too much. A single door actually had the police, a professional lock manufacturing company and even a large shipyard stuck. Was there really no way? Are we really that powerless? A single door that had endured all this cutting, even enduring the rotation of so many cutting equipments, still stood there daunting and intact. Was our Zhongyun really this backward? When the video switched again, a young man with a very pretty-looking piece of equipment in tow appeared. This time it's recorded by a professional cameraman. Clear and quality pictures, plus even a short reporter interview. This young man, as soon as he had the turn to answer, immediately began to advertise his factory. This brought much laughter from the audience, as well as anger. A team of people from Hongshin with so much equipment weren't even able to make a dent. How could you, a single person with a single machine from some small unknown factory, complete what even a professional can't do? This isn't a problem of how much equipment there is, this is a problem that lies with the gap in technology. You don't understand the industry at all, and American technology also isn't as mysterious as you think it is. This young man's arrogant words had the entire audience stand up with rage. Isn't this simply humiliating our Zhongyun for having no one? You have to understand, the noon news isn't something that only residents in Zhongyun like to watch. Rather, Zhongyun cities surrounding 3 counties and 72 townships, several millions of individuals, all enjoy watching it. Now, almost everyone understood one thing, they will all know that young men from Zhongyun all love to boast and be arrogant. Before the reporter even finished the short interview, the young man, with arrogant and confident steps, entered the hall. This young man's arrogant attitude had left both the reporter and the cameraman in a bad mood. They couldn't enter the hall to get a clear picture of what was going on inside. So instead they began to pass judgment on what they believed to be the outcome. Not only did they endlessly brag about how superior this door was, they also ruthlessly criticized this young man's arrogance and his ego. The reporter with lighting quick words, and due to work reasons, she could only very euphemistically express her thoughts. Suddenly the TV images shook. Just as the reporter looked at the camera with a doubtful look, the cameraman had already ran off with the camera. The shaking images, followed by the reporter's cries, quickly froze. A team of suited security guards, several special investigation task force members, as if escorting national terrorists, dragged 2 extremely aggravating criminals out and away. Every audience member was shocked. What's going on? Where did these 2 criminals come from? No one answered their question as the criminals were dragged out of the lobby. Then a group of people that looked very stylish and successful came out. Within this group of people, the arrogant young man from before was stuck in the middle, just like a superstar. The reporter's originally witty voice, as if it had a radio with no signal shoved in, had ji woo woo flow out. No one understood what she was saying. The young man still had that confidence from before, and was still as spirited and vigorous as before. 13 minutes. The anchor excitingly reported the amount of time this young man spent inside. Then the image switched again, back to a cell phone recorded video. The young man from before is now standing right beside the formidable door. After quickly adjusting the equipment, a piercing white light exploded on the platinum-like door. Small thunder-like electrical arc sounds exploded in the enclosed hallway. Even after being passed through a noise canceller, the audience still found it ear-piercing. Yet that door in front of their eye, the mysterious yet technical American-made door, just like a candle, was easily sliced apart by the white electrical arc. Countless audience members in front of their television flared up. On top of their shock, they all felt deep regret for arbitrary coming to a conclusion so quickly. However, it doesn't matter if they're regretting or not, the key thing was that this high-tech door was easily cut open by someone from our Zhongyun. Look at the entrance, the confidence in his word, the vigor in his steps. Our Zhongyun still has capable people. You see. One man, one machine, was easily able to cut through. So American tech isn't as formidable as described. Ha! The powerlessness that the audience had previously suppressed was ruthlessly eliminated. Oh right, what was that factory called? Quickly search them up on the net and see what they're selling. If it's usable in the household, then hurry up and order one. The products of their factory were definitely better than the ones from America in terms of quality. Chapter 42. New product for the old factory. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translated by me, edited by Fade. At this moment, Yi Qing is busying himself in gathering all the materials needed to construct the rapid metal engraver. Compared to the cutters the factory produced before, this kind of new equipment's technical requirements are undoubtedly much higher. First, precision. The original cutters weren't precise at all, or rather it's not very precise. As long as the blade didn't deviate while cutting, or the guide didn't deviate, then it's suitable for sale at a low price. However, this won't work with the rapid metal engraver. The blueprint from the lottery requires a precision level that is out of this world. Guide precision, main axle precision, drive chain precision. These are completely not a problem. In front of monsters in human abilities, the resulting precision will only be higher. Now that precision isn't a problem, then there is only the problem with the materials. For the parts like motor, drive chain, and control systems, Yi Qing has no way of making them at the moment, hence he can only resort to purchasing readily available parts. These things aren't anything high-tech, so they are always available on the market. All that's left is for Yi Qing to find a reasonable price to buy them at. Noon, Yi Qing with a somewhat cold bento, is sitting there eating while overseeing the monster's work. The renovations for a new factory at Dragon Creek Beach are pretty much complete. 2 golem-like master artisans with 2 peons were creating precise parts and assembling them into the rapid metal engraver. As for the other 8 peons, they were left to continue carving out new curbstones. At this time, Yi Qing's dad, Yi Jiangning, called. During the call, Yi Jiangning puzzledly asked Yi Qing what's going on today. He received many strange calls today, even Zhongyun television station wanted an interview. Many housewives asked for our factory's information on Alibaba.com, what our factory makes, and if there were any rice cookers or vacuum cleaners for sale. They even said that someone advertised the factory on the news, and even praised us for having superior products that can even cut through American-made blast doors, and how proud they were to be from Zhongyun and whatnot. Yi Qing knew that the situation from last night would be on the noon news. He never would have thought the factory would receive this much attention. One of my old classmates is part of the special investigation team now. Last night they were out catching criminals, except some of them hid themselves in an entertainment club storeroom. Yi Qing walked out of the noisy workshop and faced the grand ocean. Since our factory mainly makes cutting tools, she called me to help cut the door open and I went. The guys from Hongxin shipyard were invited over by the club owner. They weren't able to cut it open, but I did. I just saw the news on the internet. You even bought a plasma cutter. It's a pulsed plasma cutter. Yi Qing corrected. These machines were pretty popular a couple of years back. Sadly only specialized factories have them at the moment. So I had to borrow it from one of the curbstone partners. Sadly we don't make any rice cooker or vacuum cleaners. Otherwise we would definitely use this opportunity to make a small fortune. Yi Jiangning didn't ask for too much detail. Pulsed plasma cutters were pretty popular a couple of years back, so being able to borrow one now isn't strange at all. It's just their factory has no use for one. I know, right? Such a good opportunity wasted. Which family would buy industry-grade cutting tools? It's not like they'll buy it just to cut pork bones. Sigh, what a pity. Right now my phone's ringing non-stop. Even Zhongyun television station wants an on-site interview. The more Yi Jiangning thinks about it, the more he's regretting. Back then we were begging people to buy our products. Now others are begging us to sell them things, except we have nothing to sell. This will only last at most a couple of days. After that, if we still want to find chances like this, then that's completely a daydream. Products to sell. Yi Qing suddenly thought of something. Oh right. After the monster factory leveled up to level 2, it unlocked a mechanical research lab. it even has 12 different blueprints to choose from. 6 household blueprints, 6 industrial blueprints. Household products. Isn't it just stuff like rice cookers, electric scooters, and washing machines? See, look at these products' names: never stick rice cooker, fast charging electric tricycle, extra strong dirt removing washing machine. How amazing do they sound? Of course the industrial ones are also sound very amazing, stuff like automated drill, high-speed press, rapid metal engraver and so on. Before Yi Qing mainly dealt with industrial-grade cutting machines and has much experience with them. Plus drawing the already popular rapid metal engrave blueprint. Thus ignoring and forgetting about all of those household products. Although making industrial equipment is a way to make money. But making household items can also earn a fortune. Yi Qing before always thought of having his dad manage the old factory, then with parts created by the monsters, to create something new. Get a good reputation for the old factory, then it'll become really easy to expand and be stronger. This way, people will forget about Yi Qing and his black tech. At the same time, this will also allow Yi Qing's new factory to develop stably. Furthermore, in this world, there is no company that can achieve international status by just producing one machine. They of course need good household products, otherwise they wouldn't be able to stay on par with the competition. Now with such a great opportunity in front of him, at the same time being able to revitalize the old factory and have his dad continue managing his business. Hanging up the call, Yi Qing immediately found a seat nearby, pulled out the monster factory and began to explore the mechanical research laboratory. Blueprints, apart from being won through the lottery, can also be directly bought with gold. Before, Yi Qing was afraid of eating too much at one time and not being able to digest everything, hence didn't bother with the other blueprints. Now to pick a household item, then give it to the old factory to make. Have dad hire the needed workers to make it and then market the product. This definitely has some good prospects. Rice cookers, washing machines, electric scooters, tricycles, range hoods, and refrigerators. Yi Qing is now looking for a blueprint that is easy and quick to make. From the provided introduction, only the rice cooker and the range hood are definitely the easiest to make. However, Yi Qing, who spent his life with machines, understands, although a rice cooker might appear easy to assemble, its internal structure is the hardest to make out all 6 blueprints. Not only does it require high-tech plating, but also needs industrial presses. Range hoods might be the second easiest, but the metal plating required is simply too much, and the materials needed all need to be highly reflective. Electrical scooters and tricycles. They are easy, all the required parts are all pretty common, and it's mainly all assembling work. As long as it's assembled correctly, then no matter how it looks, at least it's a working electrical scooter. These scooters are also easy to price and the market has great demands for them. A 2-wheel scooter can easily sell for 2,000 yuan, a 3-wheeled one goes from 6,000–7,000 to close to 10,000 yuan. Carefully examining each blueprint's advantages and disadvantages, Yi Qing in the end decided to buy a copy of the 2-wheel electric scooter blueprint. Not only is there a great need for them on the market, but it's also easy to assemble. Even electric scooter dealers can create these out of spare parts, and sell them at an affordable price. So it's definitely a suitable choice. It's just that the blueprint is so expensive, 1,000 gold. No can do, Yi Qing can only write a 100,000 yuan check and transfer it over to the monster factory. Ding, congratulations for obtaining your second blueprint. Chapter 43. The Monster Factory's first product. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translated by me, edited by Fade. Super long distance electric scooter. Info. A Monster Factory's proud civilian use product. It is just a regular electric scooter with twice the mileage of those on the market. Of course, just with this point alone it clearly isn't enough to show off the Monster Factory's superiority. Super long distance electric scooter, quality. Normal, saleable, properties, charge speed plus 20%. Braking performance plus 10%. 100,000 investment, but with these outrageous properties, Yi Qing has no doubt that these scooters won't sell. Having purchased the blueprint, Yi Qing immediately gave his father a call. At this moment, Yi Jiangning is contemplating how to use this advertisement opportunity to sell some products. As soon as he heard that Yi Qing is going to order scooter parts and assemble them himself, not only is he interested, but he is also worried about not being able to sell any. Let's assemble 100 to test the waters. If they can't be sold, then just sell them to the deals at the manufacturing cost and we don't lose a penny. Sure, let's go with that. Yi Jiangning, who still can't find a new path for the factory, clenched his teeth and made a gamble. Hanging up the call, Yi Qing immediately went online and searched for all the parts listed on the blueprint that he couldn't produce. The parts needed to make a scooter are simply too much. Battery, electric motor, front lights, and the control systems were all parts that Yi Qing can't make. To be honest, there were just too many parts that he either couldn't make or are too costly to make. However, the important parts of the electric scooter, like the steel frame, wheel hub, brake discs, and other metal components can all be made on site. These parts are also all unavailable on the market due to their special characteristics and specifications. The outer casing is also very troublesome. The drawing of the scooter on the blueprint had a very futuristic casing. When put together, not only does the scooter appear compact, but also fashionable. The race car-like flowy appearance required professional scooter casing factories to create a new model to make. The casing itself isn't expensive, but to create a new model costs 80,000. Biting his teeth, Yi Qing still negotiated the new model creation fee to be lowered to 75,000. Where is the return without investments? The components are all from within the province, so they're all available for pickup the next day. That night, Yi Qing received another large shipment of stone strips. After all the processing, he was left with 50,000 pieces of curbstones. Now, with him spending money everywhere, plus the 1 million yuan down payment to Xia Muqing, he only has 600,000 left. However, there was no problem at all. As soon as the curbstones are finished carving, then that's 3 million. When the 5 rapid metal engravers are sold, then that's another 2,500,000. Removing all the production and material costs, that's still easily 3 million in the bank. 50,000 pieces of curbstones requiring carving, all of a sudden put pressure on the number of available pians Yi Qing has. Assembling the rapid metal engraver took up both of the master artisans. With them gone, there isn't anyone left to oversee the curbstone production. Ah, screw this. Yi Qing gave no damn to how much he has left in the bank, immediately cashed in a 200,000 yuan check, and hired another 4 artisans and 4 peons. Now he has 20 monsters under his name. The limit on the number of monsters at level 2 is 20, but this limit will double with each level. That night, all the monsters were working in shifts, yet Yi Qing is soundly asleep in the next room. When a flame wheel-like red sun rose in the horizon, just as the surrounding atmosphere began to emit its light sea breeze, Yi Qing got out of bed, stretched his cramped muscles, prepared to take shower, and planned to take a walk to examine the available scooters on the market. Stretching while facing the rising sun, Yi Qing yawned and rubbed his eyes. On the east side of the cliff, on the far surface of the sea, the vague outline of a ship could be seen. A construction barge with a tower crane is floating there. Yi Qing clearly remembered that spot. That's where the hidden sewage pipe is. From the looks of things now, that chemical plant asked for an underwater construction company to fix the pipeline there. Hee, I'll just block it again when you guys are done. Yi Qing, with just a few commands, will have the other party waste a couple days, and also spent a large amount of money to employ the services of the underwater construction company. No matter how rich or connected the factory is, there is absolutely no way for them to combat this kind of situation. As Yi Qing leisurely headed off to the city in a cab, the workers on the workboat were completely occupied. The sewage pipeline is buried under 30 meters of water. This depth really can be considered deep water works, and it is also the limit for those minor underwater construction companies. At this depth, divers must wear pressure-resistant diving suits, and a fully enclosed helmet before working. The divers spent several hours before finally finding this pipeline. If they want to pull out the wooden cork, then that's next to impossible. They must cut off this section of the pipe and remove it. Having spent 200,000, only to haul up a piece of broken pipe. Jinlong Plastic Plant's owner Wang Jinlong was pissed to the point of jumping off of the side of the boat. "Boss, look at this." The diver, who has met Yi Qing before, turned the pipe section around and displayed the piece of wood. A whale and a logo formed by circle of English letters appeared in front of everyone's eyes. This is the symbol for an international marine life conservation group called the Sea Shepherds Conservation Society. The diver continued on with some awkwardness. The power this conservation group holds is simply too much. Not to mention private businesses, even many nations can't do anything about them. The skills and technology required to shove this cork into the pipe is beyond our understanding. There is no way for normal divers to dive this deep. I freaking buried it this deep. How the hell did they even find it? Wang Jinlong is pissed to the point of looking like Lord Guan. Pacing quickly between the two sides of the barge, seemingly looking for whatever's hiding in the oceans and the conservation divers that were opposing him. Who knows, but their equipment and human resources are definitely top-notch. They even issued maritime environmental reports for many countries. Maybe they're here to inspect our country's maritime situation, and just happen to find the contamination and pipeline by chance. Screw this, I'll immediately resume work once I get back. I do not believe this bunch of foreigners will continue to stick around. Wang Jinlong, as if having eaten firecrackers, had the work barge turn around immediately. On Yi Qing's side, his inspection of the market was very successful. There were long-distance electric scooters on the market, except they aren't twice the distance of the regular ones. As for quick-charging electric scooters, there isn't a single trace of them, because this will shorten the battery life extremely quickly. Yi Qing also made a trip to the hospital. His dad, Yi Jiangning, after this period of rest, can finally get out of bed and walk around. It's just he still needed to be careful of how much he moves, as substantial movement of the bone can still send him back to the operating table. Assembling the electric scooters requires many hands. Yi Qing had his father recruit a bunch of people back to the factory, and even gave him 200,000 as an investment to restart the factory. On the same night, Yi Qing controlled the MPCV back to the sewage pipe and found that the wooden cork had been cut out. However, Yi Qing didn't continue to block the pipeline as there wasn't any sewage coming out at the moment. This meant that the factory hadn't started to operate just yet. It's more than enough to come back when they start discharging again. When the factory's assembly line is operating at full power, then suddenly the wastewater can't be discharged, it'll affect the whole production line. And sorting through this mess will definitely waste even more time and money. Returning back to the workshop, with lights blazing deep into the night. The 20 monsters, with their superior strength, brought over all kinds of metal and lengths of curbstone. They continuously processed them non-stop, then put them into their sorted piles. This kind of factory operating in full swing kind of scene, is really like several decades back, when factory workers cried chants while working, covered in sweat, going all out, just to advance the heavy industry of the nation. Yi Qing waited in the workshop the whole night, as he wanted to inspect the monster's first product as soon as it exited the production line. Chapter 44. Camouflage. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translated by me, edited by Fade. Rapid metal engraver, quality. Normal. This single machine required more than 1,000 different parts. The level of precision for each part is next to perfection. Compared to the specified measurements, the difference definitely doesn't exceed 0.002 millimeters. Engineers generally like to describe this precision error with either a sliver or a margin of error. Normally, components produced by computer-guided systems always had a margin of error that was within the bounds of 0.01 millimeters. Now with just a swing of the arms by this group of monster, operating the machines just like race cars, the result is 5 times that of the computer-guided systems. In the industrial sector, precision means quality. The more precise a machine is, then the more stable it is during use, less chances of malfunctions and breakdowns, and the final product it makes will also be that much better. 2 master artisans with 2 peons were there quickly assembling the parts already made. A lot of places on the machine required welding, so Yi Qing brought out the MPCV and used the fully automatic welding arm to complete the step. The homopolar motor, locating bearings, ball screw, linear guide rails, guide racks, magnetic workbench, were all welded on one by one. Then the last part, the pre-packaged computer control system, was installed on by the master artisan. Without any warning, this normal-looking machine, which doesn't seem to be any different from the engravers already on the market, apart from being more precise, was suddenly surrounded by a ball of blue light. Then the Monster Factory app also came out with a red notification. Inspecting. Subtracting the pre-built parts, the parts processed by the monsters exceed 60%. Meeting a normal item's basic requirements. Inspection successful. Rapid metal engraver, quality. Normal. Sellable, uploading control systems. Properties being created. Congratulations. Through your diligent efforts, you have created the Monster Factory's first marketable product. You have taken the first step towards the top of the manufacturing sector. At the same time, you have completed the first step of leveling the Monster Factory. With this unrivaled product, you naturally need to enter the ever-changing market and continue to expand the ever-increasing income of the Monster Factory. You just need to sell 50, quality. Normal. Sellable, Monster Factory unique machines, then you'll have met all the requirements for leveling up and enter a whole new journey. Warning. When the Monster Factory reaches level 3, the regional ranking chart will be unlocked. You can continue to expand your factory to surpass other manufacturers and companies on the charts. When you reach first on the ranking charts, then a special reward awaits you. At the same time, the level 3 Monster Factory unlocks the prestige system, which can be used to purchase disguises uniforms specially designed for monsters. With these disguises, the monsters will automatically blend into society and raise zero questions about their existence. Apart from you, in everyone else's eyes they will always be human. Moreover, spotless backgrounds and identification will also be provided. When all these notifications slowly faded away, the originally normal machine in front of Yi Qing also evolved into one with much of the monster style, some indescribable characters, a beautiful metal engraver. Rapid metal engraver, quality. Normal. Sellable, properties, carving speed plus 20%. Carving precision plus 5%. The one Yi Qing personally owns is of a rare quality, which is 2 ranks above this normal one. Naturally, if this kind of equipment is sold, then the resulting carvings will definitely be somewhat worse than the products made from the one Yi Qing owns. The rotating speed of the engraving head will also be much slower. This is actually an upside. If a super powerful machine is sold right off the bat, then it'd be a wonder if it doesn't raise any questions. Having superior normal items entering the market first to slowly expand the reaches of the monster-heavy industry. Then drop the hammer on the market with all brand new and superior quality products. Yet everyone will still believe this to be the norm, as it has already been proven that products from monster-heavy industry are more superior than anything on the market. And it's also now that Yi Qing finally had his doubts erased. Before, from the parts listed on the blueprint, this engraving machine, apart from having a perfect structure and a fast engraving head, didn't have any black tech in it. Using the parts listed in the blueprint, bringing them to any large factory and following the blueprint, anyone can make it, though of inferior quality. Now Yi Qing understood, it doesn't matter if other factories can make it. As long as no monsters are involved in the construction, then it'll never pass the Monster Factory's inspection. Then it'll never have a unique control system or the superior properties and can only be an ordinary item. Standing in front of the machine, Yi Qing felt his legs become like jello. It would appear that he's been overcome by a symptom called happiness. Finally there is way to disguise the monsters. In the end, the monster factory is still awesome. Not only did it provide a disguise uniform for the monsters, but it also solved the Huku problem as well. Yi Qing saw off Tusk and Black Dye plan. In front of this high-tech counterpart, is just like the difference between a spear and a continental ballistic missile. Think about it, with this bunch of monsters wearing the disguise uniform, and following Yi Qing onto the streets. Under a normal human-like appearance, is a monster who can end a polar bear with just one punch, and proficient in shaping, milling, planing, sharpening, drilling and welding. Just thinking about this had Yi Qing's blood boiling. What else is there to wait for? Quickly push out 50 pieces of normal quality equipment and level up the factory. Xi'an County, Gongon Stone Processing Plant's owner Su Shuangjie, for the past few days has been out of it. While overseeing the workers, he's always been absent-minded. The cause of his absent-mindedness is only a couple of pictures. The curbstone pictures got spread in his friend's chat group. Several thousands of them stacked together with their front face having images of beautiful court ladies carved on them. Even if it's only several pictures, but Su Shuangjie's sensitive occupational senses saw through these beautiful carvings and right into the unfathomable wealth behind them. Thousands of these carvings stacked together means a factory has grasped the technology required to process these stones quickly. The cheap curbstone price also means that this set of equipment isn't expensive at all. The appearance of this set of equipment is no less than tossing a nuclear missile into the stone processing industry. Not only does this directly affect the industry, but its shock wave will reach far and wide. Fortunately, Zhongyun's current city construction management office's chief is Su Shuangjie's friend. Su Shuangjie immediately called and requested him to ask if this processing equipment was for sale. The news quickly got relayed back from Chief Lu. That factory agreed, it'll be a couple of days before they are made. It's just the price is kind of expensive, 500,000 for a machine. Chief Lu, with no knowledge of the stone processing industry, felt that 500,000 for one is actually kind of too much. Su Shuangjie doesn't feel so at all. If they can really carve out similar pictures to the ones on the curbstones, then it's not expensive at all. 500,000 with interest can easily be earned back in a couple of months. Because of this, Su Shuangjie's experienced unimaginable feelings. When Yi Qing, through Chief Lu Jingdong, contacted Su Shuangjie was at home having dinner with his family. Just as Yi Qing told him that the first machine in his order was completed and can be picked up, Su Shuangjie immediately threw down his chopsticks, didn't even explain anything to his wife, ran out and asked for a delivery driver to make a trip with him to Zhongyun City. Yi Qing didn't have him make the trip, rather he'll personally delivered the machine. Right now the new factory is filled with monsters, and the old factory had no one in it. If he does come, then Yi Qing would need to come up with some excuse to avoid having him enter the workshops. As such, delivering the product personally will definitely shave off tons of unnecessary problems. Xi'an County is one of Zhonyan's sub-counties, and is only 100 kilometers away. Yi Qing called for a truck and spent an hour and a half before arriving at Gongon Stone Processing Plant. The owner, Su Shuangjie, was already at the factory gates, anxiously waiting for his new fortune maker. Chapter 45. The Want for a Research Laboratory. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translated by me, edited by Fade. When a truck with Zhongyun license plate entered Gangshan Stone Processing Plant, Yi Qing received a welcome befitting of a hero. Su Shuangjie with a bunch of workers were all standing there giving a warm welcome. This sort of reception is something that gave Yi Qing quite the feeling of happiness, yet hints of sorrow as well. Before he went to deliver the machine to Sang Qing's factory, there was only indifference. Later, when the machine malfunctioned, there wasn't even a hint of gratitude after spending the whole night there. Mentioning Sang Qing, Yi Qing still find it quite hilarious. Don't know how many days he was detained for, but for things like a DUI, the minimum sentence given was 15 days. Generally these 15 days is for those without connections, except right now Zhongyun is in the middle of trying to contest for the National City Recognition Award of Culture and Sanitation. Getting stuck at this critical juncture, no connection is of any help. Public safety, city sanitation, city culture, building construction, are all target areas for the municipal government, who is willing to help out at this point in time. Welcome, welcome. We are honored by your presence, Mr. Yi. Su Shuangjie immediately went up with his arms wide open. Yi Qing smiled while deflecting this warm welcome with, "You're too courteous, we should first get the machine set up and see how it is." An already prepared forklift drove over. Under the driver's careful actions, the machine was slowly moved from its wooden seat into Gangshan Stone Processing Plant's steel work shack. Power had already been prepared, even the ground had been carefully leveled and renovated by Su Shuangjie. Placing down the machines, Yi Qing connected it to the power source and pressed start. The device driver inside the engraver really isn't different from those in the market. Su Shuangjie and a bunch of his workers all crowded together and looked at the 10-inch LCD screen, with the starting PLC common control system. This type of control system is very easy to use. People who had played with CNC mills before all know how to use it. This type of control system is widely used in small-scale CNC mills. As long as variables are set for the x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, and can confirm the position of the axis after testing, then it can operate on a variety of lathes and mills. Of course, if you're looking for this kind of widely used software to be able to read CAD files, then be ready to pay an extra sum to invite someone to write an interpreter for the files. The Monster Factory directly installed all the related software. In addition, it's all software available on the market, except it's all better than those as there is no need to make any amendments or modifications. Having finished its startup, the machine's 3 bearings all returned to zero. Taking deep breaths, Su Shuangjie with a restless mind, stuck in a USB key. The workers, with meaningful looks, brought over a 1 meter by 1 meter slab of stone. Placed it on the workbench, then installed the precision engraver and water jet. The workbench, at most can only support 1 meter wide stone slabs. Su Shuangjie, seeing everything in order, shuddered as he pressed the start button. With the press of the button, the cone-shaped metal engraver immediately sped up to awe-inspiring speeds, then with the lowering of the axial, the engraver made contact with the surface of the stone slab. The moment it made contact, the originally clear water suddenly became all cloudy and muddy. Large amounts of stone particles and scraps flowed out into the wastewater tank. As for the stone slab on the workbench, it too under the amazing engraving head, began to display the signs of a masterful stone carving. Including Su Shuangjie, everyone who was here were all stunned speechless. Normal engravers, even if it's a metal engraver, will always give the onlookers an impression of being extremely slow. Slow to the point of being comparable to a bull taking a dump and having their dung just hang there. Wanting to use these kinds of engravers to carve on a large scale, during the wait it is more likely for the clients to come looking for trouble than being able to finish on time. Now, in front of their eyes, this engraver is just like a premium fighter within the engraver category. 2 minutes, in literally 2 minutes, the originally normal stone slab, suddenly had a wonderful carving of guanine. Su Shuangjie picked this guanine sitting upon a lotus flower due to the carving difficulty involved. Though the difficulty of it doesn't even come close to the ones on the curbstones. However, with normal engravers, then don't even think of carving such a detailed guanine picture. So, satisfied? Yi Qing, who is already used to these results, asked. This is a sellable engraver, a complete reproduction of his rare model. Not mentioning the different control system, the rotating speed of the engraving head, when compared to the one he's got is a difference of several folds, and even the precision of the carvings is short by a long shot. The one Yi Qing has, is literally, completely black tech. This sellable one, although its effectiveness is way better than the one on the market, but it still can't be considered to be full-out black tech. The shortages that Yi Qing identifies, in Su Shuangjie's point of view, is nothing at all. Although the craving results are somewhat worse than the curbstones from the pictures. But when compared to the result of normal engravers, it's not even on the same playing field. The speed of the carvings is also beyond imagination. Satisfied. Very satisfied. Within Su Shuangjie's eyes right now, there is only this engraver and nothing else. Just like handling a piece of ancient treasure, he went up and gently caressed his future fortune maker. This engraver's only major flaw is the small processing center. It just simply doesn't have the necessary room to work with large-sized stone slabs. It's just for some reason, I feel like the resulting engraving is somewhat worse than the curbstones you made. That's the result of my factory using high-precision processing centers, coupled with highly skilled engineers to create several prototypes. Yi Qing gave out a very reasonable explanation. The mass production version, naturally can't be comparable to those ones, otherwise its price tag would at least need to flip several folds. It's enough, it's more than enough. This precision level is definitely more than enough. Su Shuangjie doesn't dare to ask for more, just with this engraver alone, is more than enough to suppress all other stone processing competition in the area. Then you think you can pay off the rest of the bill for this machine? Su Shuangjie didn't even think of negotiating, or even dare to. If he actually pissed off this owner, then isn't that making earning more difficult? Afraid of other potential problems, Su Shuangjie also paid off the full bill for the other 4 machines. In total 1,500,000 was transferred right into Yi Qing's company account. Yi Qing, after confirming the transfer, wrote off a receipt for Su Shuangjie onto the old factory's official documents, and guaranteed a 6-month warranty. Mr. Yi, please stay for the night. Su Shuangjie's face is now full of compliments and praise. Let's go have some wild game, then we can head to some clubs and have a round. After all of this, I'll even have someone take you home. No need, no need. I still have business later tonight. How would Yi Qing dare to go to another club again after what happened a couple of days back? It's much safer to just return home instead. Su Shuangjie's was full of sincerity. Well, he wants to curry favors with Yi Qing. But in the end, he really couldn't stop Yi Qing from leaving, so he stuffed a bunch of gift cards into Yi Qing's hands. Saying goodbye to the passionate Su Shuangjie, Yi Qing planned to head back to Zhangjian City. Right at this moment, the agency called and informed him that the registration and paperwork for the company, Monster Heavy Industry, has been completed, and he can go and pick up the permits. In Monster Heavy Industry, Yi Qing is its only legal correspondent. At the same time, he is also the company's only CEO. It's just that this heavy industries is seriously too small. It's small to the point that it'd only get a 10 million operating budget. And this is including the 80,000 yuan Yi Qing spent to get the company registered by the agency. When the monster factory reaches level 3, then he can purchase uniform disguises. When that time comes, the monsters will all have spotless paperwork, which mean Yi Qing can also list them under the company as a short-term measure. Picking up the permits, registering with the Taxation Bureau, and getting an organizational code from the agency, Yi Qing once again sought consultation. As he wanted to know what are the necessary procedures for establishing a personal research laboratory. Chapter 46. Pictures. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translated by me, edited by Fade. The worker responsible for Yi Qing's immediate thought is that he's gone crazy. A formal research center can apply with Central for research grants. In addition, it's able to receive research topics and additional funding from Central. Any company that wishes to set up a formal research laboratory, even if it's just a municipal level one, still need an industry that is at the top of the city rankings. You also need the related equipment and certification, otherwise you won't even pass the inspections. You also need to head to the City Inspection Bureau for this. We can't do it here. Then what about those below the municipal level? Just go find a place, put up a sign and you're good. The worker thought of Yi Qing as one of those idiots who had just graduated and wanted to be the owner of something, and said jokingly. Some small factories really do have their own product research room. It's just that they're mainly for self-use, can't take on outside projects, and have no power whatsoever. It's basically used as an advertisement to fool some of the lesser public. Yi Qing said his thanks, and left after paying the rest of the fees. Yi Qing's need to establish a research center was very simple, yet also a must. The monster factory is currently only level 2, yet its products are already this outrageous. When its levels get higher later on, its products will only be even more astonishing. I'm definitely not a scientist, so if new black techs come out from the factory left, right and center, then isn't that telling everyone to come investigate him? But once is a research lab established, then there is a reasonable explanation. Last time when fixing the pipeline for Gongwei, Yi Qing's old university's Material Chemical Engineering Laboratory sent over 2 professors to help with some chemical theories. If Yi Qing is also able to possess a similar laboratory, then the high-tech and black-tech stuff can all be said to the results of this laboratory. As for the laboratory itself, just shove in a couple of monsters and make do. Even if the FBI came, don't even think of getting anything out of the monsters. Then with the purchase of large amounts of expensive and top-of-the-line equipment, people might even consider it to be the Lawrence Berkeley Laboratory of the East. Very regretfully, the requirements to set up a formal laboratory are simply too much for Yi Qing. But too many non-formal laboratories exist, especially with those fake medicine companies. Yet after so many other similar failed cases, Yi Qing can only delay this plan. Returning back to the seaside factory, Yi Qing hung up the business license inside the simple and crude office. Just when he finished putting up the license, a sudden notification came through from the monster factory. Congratulations for establishing your second factory. Sub-factories will receive 1/3 of the main factory's properties. Do you wish to bind this as the sub-factory? Yi Qing unbounded the old factory in the industrial park, and set it as the sub-factory. Level 2 monster factory can only establish 1 sub-factory, and 2 at level 3. 1/3 of the properties mean the sub-factory won't receive the 1% increase in manufacturing efficiency, lifespan and precision. Not a big deal. Now there are only 2 peons assembling the electric scooters from the provided parts. The electric scooters' frames all use steel pipes. As such, Yi Qing ordered a bunch of Q195 seamed steel pipe and Q235 seamless steel pipe. These steel pipes all need to be bent into special shapes, but instead of machines, the monsters bent them all bare-handed. The batteries were all screw-mounted and secured in place with some light welding. While working on the wheel hub, Yi Qing found a big problem. To produce large amounts of scooter wheel hubs, the most effective way is to have a mold and pour liquid metal into it. At the moment, Yi Qing ordered some aluminum alloy pipes and plates to work with. With the monster's skills, and the equipment in the workshop, it's not hard to create the wheel hubs. Worst comes to worst, there is always the CNC mills. But Yi Qing found that the rate at which the materials are wasted this way is just too severe. Aluminum alloy plates are already expensive to begin with, now using it just to cut several wheel hubs, is seriously wasting too much of a good material. If liquid pouring is used here, then it'll be much easier. All he needs is an aluminum forge and a mold. This can wait till all the parts have been made. Let's see what happens when everything is assembled together. Yi Qing, with nothing to do, summoned out the MPCV, controlled it down the natural undersea tunnel to see if the sewage pipeline is releasing again. Just as the MPCV exited the underwater cave, it immediately detected the sudden increase in murkiness and decrease in visibility. Yi Qing, seeing the images in front of him, evilly laughed. The cork has already been prepared, moreover it already has the Sea Shepherd's Conservation Society logo carved on it. Without delay, the MPCV was again used to block the pipeline. The Dragon Creek beach from the surface doesn't look any different from any other coastal area with the pristine aqua water surface. However, the water quality here is serious down the drain, hence Yi Qing's sour mood. There are many who enjoy a good seafood meal. Yi Qing's MPCV is easily able to catch any seafood. Now that the region has been polluted beyond belief, the seafood here, even if caught, still isn't edible. Having blocked off the pipeline, Yi Qing with a crisp attitude logged onto his WeChat and began to browse through his friend circles. Yi Qing doesn't have many friends on WeChat, mainly old classmates. He hasn't checked out the groups in ages, and his classmates were all too lazy to post anything useful as well. A bunch of WeChat ads. Yi Qing could only feel deflated, continuing down the posts to see if there were any selfies of pretty girls. A lot of his old classmates have all turned to become WeChat merchants. Some, after joining, found out that they got swindled, but just for face, they continued to advertise the product with how so and so is so good and whatnot. In the end, it gave Yi Qing even less incentive to browse through his friend groups. Some tried to sell nutrient pills, others sold soap bars, Korean facial masks, and so on. Under these classmates' bragging and boasts, soap bars became elixirs. It got to the point where its ingredients can even cure cancer. Facial masks even have automated plastic surgery effects. Even pigs can become beautiful girls. If it wasn't because he was lazy, Yi Qing would definitely block every single one of them. After scrolling down multiple pages of ads, just as Yi Qing was about to exit, he suddenly thought of something, and hurriedly scrolled up. Yi Qing with a glance, found a cartoon cat avatar posted something in his chat group, probably still some advertisement. Quickly remembering that Xia Muqing's avatar is a cartoon cat, Yi Qing quickly found this cat within piles upon piles of ads. So it really is Xia Muqing. Yi Qing had a very positive impression of her from their chat. She's also the general manager of Tiancheng Mining Corporation. Her background is seriously shocking. Xia Muqing posted 2 pictures. One of them is a never-ending row of excavator-like equipment with red silk bow ties on their long arms. Yi Qing clearly recognized these machines. They are, within the mining industry, high-end diamond drilling cars. A single one of them generally cost more than 1,000,000 yuan. Zhongyan's manufacturing giant, Huaxing Heavy Industries, posséded these machines. Before, Yi Qing saw countless numbers of times when Huaxing Heavy Industries hauled these machines with trucks all over China. The second picture is most likely a signing ceremony, a bunch of suited-up people. Yi Qing immediately enlarged the picture to see if there were any girls in it. The result was quite disappointing. At the end of the red carpet and the center of the red room, a man and a woman were sitting at a table filled with red flowers, and immersing themselves in the signing ceremony. There were also lots of people taking pictures of the two at the side. The woman in question, although beautiful and classy, from her clothes and mannerisms it is quite clear that she isn't from the same generation as himself. She's at least 30 years old, maybe even 40 years old. As for the other man who was there for the signing, Yi Qing, after examining for age, felt that this guy is very similar to Huaxing Heavy Industries leader, Li Huaxing. The 2 witnesses were also very young and looked inexperienced. However, they definitely aren't Xia Muqing, and everyone else in the photo were all men with suits. Normally in a signing ceremony, the background has the participating 2 companies' names and their collaboration project printed on it. However, the question with this picture remains, it's focused on the 2 signing people and didn't include anything involving the names of the 2 companies. She can't be. I definitely do not believe that she's Xia Muqing. Yi Qing felt that Xia Muqing with her skylark-like voice, definitely isn't this old-looking auntie. And, the one who took this picture is definitely her. Yi Qing encouraged himself on like so. Honk 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 honk. Just at this moment, the sudden burst of low yet loud steam whistle passed through the windows and into Yi Qing's ear. Yi Qing was stunned. Whose car's horn is this loud? The factory's surroundings has already been walled off by the monsters with bricks and mortar. A giant gate was also erected facing the sea. Normally it's closed to prevent anyone from seeing the workings of the workshops inside. But Dragon Creek Beach is next to barren hills, the stuff purchased before has all already arrived, so who is it outside? Exiting the workshop, Yi Qing headed towards the main gate to take a look, yet it was empty with no cars in sight. What the hell, ghosts? Doo-a-doo-a-doo-a-doo, the low yet piercing honk sounded again. Without the workshop blocking again, Yi Qing felt his ears ring and his hair stood up. Now Yi Qing heard clearly, the sound was coming from the sea. With heavy suspicions, Yi Qing opened the western door, then Yi Qing was stunned. A roughly 15-meter-long pure white twin-decked yacht was currently moored next to the old shipyard's remaining dock. The extremely strange steam whistle was definitely coming from this guy. Chapter 47. We know each other. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translated by me, edited by Fade. Such a pretty yacht. The streamlined exterior, the all-wood deck, and the angling counter at the back. It's not that Yi Qing hasn't seen a yacht before, it's just with Zhongyan being next to the sea, and lots of wealthy individuals like to purchase one just for the face. There is also a bunch on TV and on the internet. However, right now is the first time seeing one this close. At the same time, Yi Qing was feeling very suspicious. What is this yacht moored here for? Why the heck would such an expensive-looking yacht come to the barren wasteland that is Dragon Creek Beach? Doesn't matter what they're here for, at least this place is still under Yi Qing's control. Yi Qing, standing on top of the small dock, overlooked the moored yacht. The sunglasses like glass covering the cockpit blocked Yi Qing's view. However, the door to the cockpit was quickly opened. A man wearing a dress shirt and blazer exited. This guy is most likely the captain of the ship, just without any rank markings or military uniforms. Little brother, may I ask if you still build boats here? The man waved at Yi Qing. I saw the GPS markings of a shipyard here. It went bankrupt a long time ago. Yi Qing pointed to the high wall behind him. I bought this place and switched industries. Switched? The stunned man apologized. Oh, sorry, but our yacht broke down, so can we still borrow your dock here? There are just too many reeds here. Our yacht wrecked its propeller blades nearby, and being able to persist until here is already a miracle. Now the yacht's lost all of its propulsion and needs to switch out for a new set of propellers. Don't you need to enter a dry dock to swap out the propellers? I don't have any here. Yi Qing guessed this was one of those drivers especially hired by the wealthy. Otherwise there is no way he would be this courteous. There is some empty space over there. When the high tide comes, we can push the yacht over and secure it in place. We can do all the repairs once the tide leaves. This guy probably has some understanding of ship repairs, as he pointed to a stretch of empty space next to the dock. That place there is most likely what the old shipyard used to bring the boats on shore. It even has a specially designed slide. Yi Qing rubbed his chin, in deep thought. We're only here for a night, and swapping out the propellers is really quick. I've already contacted the other shipyards to send over the propellers, will be done by tomorrow morning. Please help out, bro, we'll even pay double the fees for mooring here. Alright, you guys can stay for the night. Yi Qing waved his hand, indicating to him to stop. Yi Qing originally didn't want them to moor here. 'Cause if they do, then Yi Qing must recall the monsters to prevent them from being seen. But to chase them away and have them find any other dock to moor at, then that'll probably raise their suspicions. After all, for someone to not take the money and chase them away, then are they making something illegal there? It's only for a night, and they probably won't be on the yacht at night. The monsters can come out then, so he might as well help out. Thank you, thank you. The pilot hurried to express his gratitude. The dock is slightly higher than the yacht, so the pilot of the yacht asked Yi Qing if he's got a gangway here that he can borrow. There is a bunch of gangways left behind by the previous owner because no one wants them anymore. Yi Qing pulled a really weathered one out from the corner of the yard. The outer appearance of the gangway is seriously poor. It's full of bumps and pot-holes, and really easy for people to raise doubts about how sturdy it is. Placing the gangway in place, the yacht pilot ran back inside. From the looks of things, he's probably inviting the boss out. What arrogance! Yi Qing is somewhat looking down upon this guy's attitude. If it was him, he'd just jump onto the meter-tall dock. A girl wearing a fragmented flower dress and a sunflower hat exited from the cockpit. Yi Qing was stunned speechless and was thinking it was inconceivable as he looked at the prettily dressed girl. It's not that Yi Qing recognized who she was, but this pretty-looking girl with her very good-looking face, is seriously too young. Before Yi Qing thought it was going to be a short and fat boss with anger issues, hence the need for a gangway. This girl looks to be very delicate, beautiful hair flowing with the ever-moving wind, coupled with those thin and smooth-looking arms, and fair and slender legs, she is extremely capable of attracting the protectiveness of all men. Yi Qing smiled at her, then like a gentleman, invited her onto the docks. This charming girl replied Yi Qing's smile with her own sweet smile, causing Yi Qing to almost topple over into the sea. The yacht pilot rushed forward and tried the gangway, maybe due to its dangerousness, he even hopped halfway through. No problem. The pilot jumped onto the dock, using his hands to steady the gangway and signaled her to come to shore. This girl is actually pretty easy-mannered, as she picked up the edges of her dress and walked onto the gangway. Due to the tranquil surroundings around Dragon Creek Beach, the yacht is actually pretty stable. It's just that when she was just halfway across, this piece of extremely weathered gangway suddenly collapsed in two with a crack, snap, and a pop. 3 cries of alarm and surprise sounded together. Just as this girl was about to fall into the water underneath, she thought of reaching out for the docks with her snow-white hands. Yet the reaction from the squatting yacht pilot is way too late. Yi Qing immediately jumped out and grabbed onto her wrist. The pilot hurriedly stood up and thought of helping out. Yi Qing with a pull, brought this girl up onto the dock. Roughly 100 pounds. Yi Qing, who's been recently working with curbstones, used the 90-pound curbstones as a reference, and came to a reasonable conclusion. Thank you. Thank you for saving me. This girl's already white face was scared even paler. What did you say? This time Yi Qing is really stunned, as he refused to let go of her hand. I said thank you for saving me. This pretty girl patted her panic-ridden chest. Even under these circumstances, her voice is still pleasant to listen to, just like Skylark. Your voice. Yi Qing, half believing, half doubting, called out her name. You're Xia Muqing. Ah. She, without calming herself, was again petrified by a single sentence from Yi Qing. How do you know me? Xia Muqing removed her Hawaii-like sunflower hat, and revealed a very fragile-looking face. Her eyes were full of shock. In another province's unfamiliar city, there's actually a man who she doesn't even know that could correctly call out her name just after hearing her voice. If Yi Qing had called out her name immediately after seeing her, then Xia Muqing might have been able to accept it. After all, she is Tiancheng Mining Corporation's shining pearl, at the same time she is Tiancheng Mining Corporation's general manager, so she is quite well known within some circles. The problem lies with the strange look in Yi Qing's eyes upon immediately seeing her. Yi Qing was also shocked. Xia Muqing doesn't keep any pictures containing her on WeChat, but her voice gave Yi Qing a deep impression. Otherwise, how can Yi Qing correctly recognize her immediately after she opened her mouth? What a coincidence, Yi Qing felt like he could go and play the lottery today. Now looking back, the pictures on her friends group is definitely from the signing ceremony where they agreed to the huge purchase with Washing Heavy Industry. It's just he never would have thought that they would meet on the barren wasteland that is Dragon Creek Beach. Chapter 48. Sorry, but what? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translated by me, edited by Trapetro. You are. Hold on a minute. Let me guess first. Xia Muqing made a quite cute posture, as if having thought of something. You're one of our clients. Xia Muqing then made a pondering face, as if saying that she could guess who he was. You're Zhang Ludong. Yi Qing was originally really happy to wait for her to call out his name, it's just that when the name came out Yi Qing's expression immediately turned stiff. I'm Yi Qing. Yi Qing rolled his eyes at her. Sorry. Xia Muqing, having recognized her mistake, put her hands in front of her dress and bowed down to apologize. If there was something to blame for this, then it can only be that Yi Qing had no special features, and that Xia Muqing didn't put the 10 million yuan deal with Yi Qing in her heart. Ah, don't worry about it. Yi Qing commented as he clenched his mouth. This move had Xia Muqing giggling non-stop without any regard to her image. You're very young and very dynamic. Xia Muqing circled around Yi Qing and did a quick examination of him. From the way you act, I see a kind of confidence only seen among the successful, and an ambition only seen among the young. From your appearance only, I doubt that you're older than me. Yi Qing gestured to the NPC-like yacht pilot on the side. Alright, don't stand there anymore, since we're all acquaintances, come on inside for a cup of something warm. Definitely older than you. Xia Muqing, somehow proud of this, gracefully walked in front of Yi Qing, just like cute little Sika deer. The monsters inside the factory had already been called back by Yi Qing, but the yard was chaotic with curbstone strips everywhere and carved curbstones lying in piles within the steel workshop. When Yi Qing brought everyone into the simple and crude office, a sudden thought popped into his head. What if he widened Xia Muqing's horizons by showing her the powers of the rapid metal engraver? Have her confused by all the shock and awe, then she might even offer someone big deals right off the bat. It's just that if Xia Muqing saw Yi Qing using that 2-black tech engraver, then she would probably suspect him to be an alien. There weren't any knockoffs available on site, so he'll have to wait until tomorrow when it's complete to contact her about it. Having entered the office, Yi Qing seated the two on the only ordinary wooden chairs in the room, turned on the water dispenser, and poured each of them a cup of warm water. There wasn't any tea in the office, so Yi Qing could only make do with ordinary water. Xia Muqing and her pilot also weren't special guests, so they didn't care about it either. The pilot, having said thanks, pulled out his cell phone and began to make calls for the repairs. Mr. Yi, this is seriously a coincidence. Xia Muqing lightly blew on her cup of water and had glittering eyes. Our company just arrived in Zhongyan last night to sign a deal with Washing Heavy Industry. I specially borrowed Washing Chairman's yacht for a spin. You understand, our Anhui is full of mountains, so it's really hard to find a chance to head out to sea. It's truly a coincidence. The first thought I had when I first saw you is that you're a superstar. Yi Qing, with the corner of his eyes, keep on staring at those long white legs of hers. Naturally, he was doing this behind the scenes. Thank you for your praise. I'm truly honored. Xia Muqing smiled. So how was that batch of curbstones? I saw piles of them in the yard, have they been sold yet? The quality is superb, it's not like I found any problems with them anyways. Oh right, since your factory is so close to the ocean, then you're probably very familiar with sea fishing. Xia Muqing asked with some expectation. There is a bunch of fishing gear on the boat, so are there a lot of fishes nearby? What fish? The water quality here is complete garbage. But the water is so blue, and without any strange smells. Yi Qing explained that the water stayed blue because it got dyed blue by chemicals. As for why there weren't any strange smells, Yi Qing has no clue. There is a chemical plant dumping wastewater here. Even if you do catch some fish, it's not like you can eat them anyways. Then I'll go try it in other areas, I have never tried fishing out in the sea. Such a rare vacation opportunity, there was no way that Xia Muqing was going to waste it. At that moment, the yacht pilot walked over and handed over a very refined handbag to Xia Muqing. Miss, I've contacted a nearby shipyard and their people will be over as soon as possible. Sorry to bother you, Brother Wong. Xia Muqing nodded to him. Taking the handbag, Xia Muqing pulled out a small piece of carved jade rui scepter, placed it in her hand, and chatted with Yi Qing while playing with it. This piece of pure white rui is simply cute. It also seems to be very old, as it gives a soft and fatty kind of feeling. It should be suet jade, and probably one of those really expensive ones. When accompanied by girls, time always flies by. Yi Qing felt like only 20 minutes passed, but it had been almost an hour. A truck arrived outside of the perimeter wall, a bunch of young workers wearing Hongxin shipbuilding uniforms, carrying lots of ropes and tools, under the guide of the pilot, arrived at the sea docks. Yi Qing followed Xia Muqing over for the excitement. Except in the end, the young men's scorching eyes turned from looking at the yacht to staring at Xia Muqing's body. Get back to work, damn it. The leading middle-aged man immediately kicked the one beside him. What a coincidence. This was actually the one who was sent to cut open the door at the Silver Palace last time. Except they failed miserably and let Yi Qing have all the credit. Right now it was the beginning of summer, only cold during mornings and evenings. A young man in front of Xia Muqing, dazzlingly stripped down to his swim trunks, then put on his diving goggles and dove down with an underwater camera. With a pretty girl at the side, this guy elegantly displayed his diving abilities, and stayed down for over a minute and a half before surfacing at the tail of the yacht. Seeing this, Xia Muqing smiled and gave him praise along the lines of "very good." The other young men on the side, unable to resist the temptation, also began to deliberately unbutton their uniforms. The foreman of the group took over the camera, examined the pictures with his back against the sun, and picked out the clearest one before handing it over to the yacht pilot. There were 2 propellers at the tail of the boat, and they probably hit some large leveled rock. Now the 2 of them were completely twisted beyond recognition. This boat of yours is a product of Sunbird Yacht Factory, and the propellers used are high-speed large curvature propellers with 7 fans imported from Germany. I've already asked their factory and they've got none in stock. The foreman called his factory and reported the model number of the yacht and the sizes of the propellers right in front of everyone. Roughly 5 minutes passed before the factory called back. Sorry boss, but we don't have any of your kind of propellers in storage. Not even any of similar size. We've also called Sunbird Yacht Factory and they also don't have any in storage. In addition, yachts are all made to order, so they're all ordered from Germany when they're needed. If it's International Express, then it'll take roughly a week. A week. The yacht pilot immediately became anxious. He broke the boat, so as time gets stretched on, his boss would naturally get angry. Xia Muqing was also disappointed as she has to leave tomorrow afternoon. Yi Qing also took the opportunity to look at the pictures of the propeller. The worker used a tape measurer to measure the size, and the propellers were roughly 70 centimeters in diameter. Can't you guys just mill a pair? If the yacht needed to moor here for at least a week, then Yi Qing definitely wouldn't able to bear with having people come and go for this long. I've seen the propellers. Its structure looks pretty simple and it's not big either. Yi Qing hugged his neck. Your shipyard definitely has a CNC mill, so can't you guys just mill out some? What did you say? Last time at the Silver Palace, Yi Qing waited for them to leave before coming forward. So the foreman naturally don't know who Yi Qing was. Hearing someone say to mill a pair of propellers, the foreman and the rest of the workers, all couldn't help but laugh, and loudly at that. Sorry, but I didn't hear you clearly. The foreman scooped his ear. Did you just say to mill a pair of 7-fan, high-speed large curvature propellers? Chapter 49. Mine's better than yours. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translated by me, edited by Trapetro. Do you know how to mill propellers? In all of Zhongyun, there isn't a single factory that will boast they can mill propellers, not even Huaxing Heavy Industry can do it. You definitely don't understand what complex curved surface processing means, and also don't know that for a new design is required whenever a 5-axis CNC mill is used to mill a new propeller. High-speed propellers have extremely high requirements for the precision levels of the 7 fans. So you clearly know nothing. To mill these kind of complex curved surfaces, a normal 5-axis CNC mill can only use its ball head router bits. Using a ball head bit to mill the curved surfaces, with the bit center line as point of origin, tell me how you're going to ensure the needed precision levels. You know nothing and yet tell us to mill a pair of propellers. The foreman is not only pissed but also found it ridiculous as he spewed a bunch of technical bullshit. The other workers also fill Yi Qing in some common knowledge within the industry, saying that without a specialized vertical 5-axis coupling, to mill out a standardized 7-fan high-speed propeller is nothing more than joke. They even guaranteed that if installed, within a couple of nautical miles, the propellers will definitely fracture and become unusable. Ha 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 ha, seriously, look at yourself. What a freaking joke, even CNC milling centers, said the young man who was just in the water, maybe because he wanted to show off his superiority in front of a lady. He basically put Yi Qing, with his full set of brand names, as his arch nemesis. Xia Muqing naturally stood on Yi Qing's side. Not mentioning their cooperations together, just him saving her life before is more than enough for her to stand with Yi Qing to the bitter end. Why don't you just say you can't make it? What's the deal with standing there and laughing at his ideas? Xia Muqing coldly and angrily stared at these people. Sure, alright, stop laughing, get to work. The foreman loudly proclaimed, except that within a couple of seconds, he once again burst out laughing. You can't mill it is because you don't have the technical ability to. Yi Qing didn't get angry, rather smiled to Xia Muqing to indicate that it's fine. If propellers are this difficult to make, then let me ask you, how much does it cost to import a pair of them? Not too much, a pair of 7-fan propellers is only 24,000. There are some factories which can make them domestically, but their precision is a bit subpar. The foreman clearly knows Yi Qing isn't short on money as the watch on his wrist can easily substitute for several pairs of them. But this still doesn't mean that they can admit that their shipyard is lacking the technical abilities to make them. Such a cheap price, yet you guys can't make them. If it isn't because you guys don't have the technical abilities to do so, then what else is there? The foreman smiled with disdain. Go ahead and make them, I'll give you a year, and if you do make them I'll pay you 100,000 for them. I'll pay $1 million. A worker who was securing cables on the yacht to pull it on shore called out. Yi Qing sighed, turned around and headed off into his factory. Xia Muqing hurried chased up and urged. Mr. Yi, there's no need for you to be angry. What? No. I'm really not. Yi Qing actually wasn't angry at all. Then you. Xia Muqing believed that Yi Qing was pissed beyond belief and couldn't stand it anymore. I'm going back to make a pair of them. Yi Qing smiled at her. You. What did you say? Xia Muqing was now completely shocked beyond belief. Although Tiancheng Mining Corporation doesn't own any milling centers, they do however possess mountains of machineries. Definitely enough to fill up all of Dragon Creek Beach. Xia Muqing naturally understood some of the machine processing, hence her extreme shock, and believed that Yi Qing was only talking nonsense. Bro, how can you actually be this peeved? If the two were quite familiar with each other, Xia Muqing right now would definitely go up to Yi Qing and see if he's running a fever. Aren't propellers only made by propeller factories? So you clearly understand that specialists are required for this. I know, Yi Qing put up an air of sullen and melancholy. But I don't know why, but just there at the dock, I saw you extremely depressed upon hearing the need to wait for at least a week before it can be repaired. I'm just really heartbroken. Hence I'm going to hand make a pair of propellers as a gift for you. Xia Muqing's shock right now had already exceeded that of seeing ghosts, instead it's the complicated expression of someone sees an angel and a demon kissing. Ha 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 ha, Yi Qing seeing that inconceivable looks of her, couldn't hold it back anymore, as he hugged his stomach and bursted out laughing. Him wanting to create the propellers is purely because he doesn't want the yacht to moor here for that long. Plus, there's actually materials for making the propellers within the workshop. Civilian-used propellers are generally made of copper alloy, aluminum alloy, or stainless steel, as all other common metals are relatively easy to corrode and rust. There's piles of aluminum alloy in the workshop, and their thickness is just right for making those 7 fan propellers. As the number of fan blades decrease for a propeller, the curvature of the fans will increase dramatically, hence the need for an increase in the material's strength and thickness. Conversely, as the number of fans increase, the material's strength and thickness requirement will obviously decrease. But the curvature of the fans is still quite large, some are even bent beyond those of fishing hooks, yet the aluminum alloy Yiqing bought previously is more than enough to satisfy the propeller's requirements. Furthermore, civilian propellers don't have the strict requirements like those used in the military. There's no need for any heat treatment or other steps, so it can be installed and used immediately after completion. If it's seeking quality, then it just needs a layer of anti-corrosive paint. Xia Muqing clearly knew now that Yiqing was cracking a joke, yet she still couldn't help but get embarrassed. Of course, this still doesn't mean that Xia Muqing likes Yiqing. What kind of outstanding males hasn't she met? She's blushing purely because she's got too thin of a skin. Then why aren't you going? Xia Muqing, who has finally understood, found it somewhat hilarious. She definitely doesn't believe that Yiqing can make these kind of high-speed propellers. Yiqing first went to his office, Xia Muqing also followed to see what shenanigans he's making, except found that Yiqing's basically sitting there fooling around on the computer. Remember to call me when you're done. Xia Muqing comfortably stretched out and called out to Yiqing. I'm gonna head back to the yacht for a nap while waiting for your gift. No problem. Yiqing snapped. Making propellers naturally requires the blueprints for them. Yiqing first logged on to Sunbird Yacht Factory's official website, but couldn't find any details about the propellers. So he directly logged on to their QQ chat and informed them that he's looking to buy a yacht, one that is exactly like the one outside right now. Their customer service representative quickly sent over a bunch of information, within it includes the specific details of the propellers. The manufacturer also used words to flatter and boast how they're German-made and whatnot. Jotting down the model number, Yiqing opened out a CAD repository and began to search for the propeller's CAD blueprint. There is a wide range of data available for civilian propellers, especially on the internet. What's more, Yiqing even found several propeller blueprints that are allegedly for nuclear submarines. Soon a CAD drawing of the propellers that is the exact same as the ones used by the yacht outside was found by Yiqing and downloaded onto a USB stick. This process is only used roughly 10+ minutes, adding on the fact that Xia Muqing went for a nap on the yacht, there's no one left in the factory to bother Yiqing. Closing and locking the door to the workshop, Yiqing immediately summoned 2 master artisans. They naturally possess +8% increase in precision and processing efficiency. Add on the +2% precision increase from the level 2 bounded factory, it can be said that when purely comparing precision levels, there isn't anyone in the world who is on par or even be compared to the master artisans. 2 pieces of square aluminum alloy were quickly cut out, and placed upon the workbench of that completely black Tech Rapid Metal Engraver. Using the Rapid Metal Engraver to carve stone is complete a waste of talent. Using it to engrave gold, silver, copper, aluminum, lead and other soft metals, is its actual purpose. Because aluminum alloy's toughness is way stronger than that of stone, there's a decrease in processing speed. Yiqing from time to time went to check if there was anyone peeking, and after roughly 20 minutes, 2 brand new almost complete propellers were born. The workshop possessed 2 CNC milling centers, so placing them directly into the milling area, the 2 propellers, together, first were bored, then had screw threads tapped on. Finally, the precision polishing step. The 2 master artisans that could be straight up be called human machines, directly used the buffing machine and 2000 grit sandpaper to polish and smooth out the propellers. Yiqing went out for a stroll, and found the shipyard workers that spent a ton of effort before finally being able to pull the yacht from the dock onto the beach. Right now the tide hasn't started to rise, so naturally there wasn't a way to dry dock it yet, so they could only use cables to secure the yacht from drifting off. Returning to the office, again purposely wasting a bunch of time, Yi Qing finally stood up and headed to the workshop. The two propellers were finished a long time ago. The two 7-fan high-speed propellers were emitting off a silver-white radiance as it quietly laid there on the ground. Perfection. Perfect to the point of beyond perfection. Even if some fussy and picky engineer were sent over, they still wouldn't be able to find a tiny thread of defect or flaw. The limit to human eye identification is limited to 0.1 millimeters. Experienced fitters, who hand makes everything, can control the precision level to near 0.03 millimeters. But now the question comes. What if it's not made by humans? Master artisans have nothing special to them, except for the system introduction where they were said to possess precision levels that are beyond imagination. Then add on the plus 8% precision property, the monster factory's plus 2% precision, and the plus 2% lifespan expectancy of the product. With these all together, the master artisans now have the capabilities to defy all the experienced fitters in the whole entire world. Hence the two propellers on the ground, first went through the completely black tech rapid metal engravers milling, then had the master artisan's precision polishing. It now has to qualification to disdain upon all of the original propellers' properties. Even if the company that specially makes yacht propellers from Mecklenburg, Vorpommern, Germany were to send over their highly prized engineers. When competing with the master artisans, add on their wife, children, and mistresses, they will lose them all and everything else they own and still not be able to win a single round. When the monster factory levels up to level 3, maybe with this bunch of master artisans, he could trash the pride of all those so-called high-precision factories. Yi Qing beautifully thought. Chapter 50. The best in Zhongyan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translated by me, edited by Trapetro. When Yi Qing used a handcart to pull the propellers onto the dock, the yacht had just been secured in place. Several workers were covered in sweat, squatting on the dock, and smoking while boasting about random things. The topic was mainly girls, and the content was always on the shady side. When Yi Qing arrived, the foreman, out of the corner of his eyes, took a glance and without taking him seriously went back to smoking. Before a breath of smoke could be exhaled, the foreman, as if he had been electrocuted, trembled and violently coughed due to the choked smoke. Cough 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 cough. The foreman turned around again looking like he's seen a real ghost. 7 different looks soon followed. First they swept over Yi Qing, then they decided to examine the cart in front of him. Ah! The 7 workers all stumbled to try to get up, and dropped their smokes everywhere. This, the foreman ran over to the handcart with a face full of shock and absurdity. This is impossible. The foreman felt the 7-fan propellers on the cart, as if stroking a miracle. Where did you get these propellers? Oh, you mean these? Yi Qing stared at him with his hands behind his neck. I just milled these. I've got 2 CNC milling centers and a couple aluminum alloy plates inside the workshop, so I just conveniently made 2 of them. This is impossible. Impossible. The foreman, as if having been possessed, circled around the propellers non-stop, continuously talking to himself. Even if there are specific multiple-axis milling centers, a single propeller would still take at least 4 to 5 hours. How could it be this quick? The other 7 young workers right now all became mutes. They were all squatting on the dock, shockingly staring at Yi Qing. To be fair, it's not like it was possible for them to not be this shocked. 2 high-end propellers that need to be imported from Germany were in the end, in a bit over an hour, made by a no-name workshop. If anyone else was here, they would all be the same. This was simply too shocking, too inconceivable. Everyone had seen the steel workshop in the yard. The yard was full of piles of stone strips, so they naturally all thought that the steel workshop only contained a couple cutting machines to at most, cutting away at those stones. Cutting stone strips beside the sea is a very reasonable tendency for any proper merchant. Drawing up water directly from the sea to wash away all the stone powder is a major saving option. Who would have thought that inside that steel workshop was two 5-axis CNC milling centers hidden away? But even if there were 5-axis CNC milling centers, it doesn't explain how they were able to mill out this kind of high curvature propellers. And what's more, they milled them out in just a bit over an hour. Even with the most sophisticated 5-axis CNC milling center in the world, it was still next to impossible for it to be this quick. Unless there was only one possibility. The two milling centers inside are either DMG 2000 TC or better. This kind of complex and leading German industry products was introduced to the world just a couple of years back, and caused quite the ripple on the internet at the time. At the time, it also staggering shocked everyone who was in the mechanical production industry. Thousands of drill bits automated to mill, to change, and with the ability to do any kind of complex milling process. This kind of advanced machine has always been embargoed. Even after the 08 recession, there was only the castrated version available for sale. Its nickname was the all-purpose machine. As for the price, not too expensive, just couple of million yuan for only all the drill bits. To determine the machine cost, you need to consider its components and its functionality. The more functionality it had, the more expensive it was. If you want to have high automation functionality, then the price tag it comes to would also skyrocket. And this was merely for the hardware. The software was even more of a bottomless pit. Those who are able to afford this kind of machine were all in the business of making some highly complex components. To add whatever software you thought was needed to operate it more efficiently and conveniently, you would need to cough up 50,000 to have one custom made. If you wanted to add more to it, then that's another 50,000. Apart from those, you think that as long as you have the money you could buy them. Wrong. Even if you had the money, you would still need to wait in line for at least a couple of years to order. And that's for the castrated version. If this kind of machine actually arrived, then you would pretty much be in possession of a divine instrument, even if it was only the castrated version. Screw all those complex components, what large complex curvature surface, none of it was a problem at all. This kind of feeling was just like a seasonal worker returning home to visit, then met a farmer in patched clothing. Originally wanting to show off, but the honest farmer in the blink of an eye was using a Gulfstream private jet to spread fertilizer. That same kind of absurdity. Yes, if it's with that kind of machine, then to create a civilian-use propeller was basically like using a cannon to kill a mosquito. It was definitely like this. That was the only possible conclusion the workers could come up with. The foreman squatted down, and began to fearfully examine the silvery white propeller. The heat from the milling hadn't dissipated yet. Feeling the still lukewarm metal surface, the foreman mistakenly felt as if he was touching a girl's skin. This kind of quality, you. How do you do it? The foreman trembling asked. Don't tell me you've got either a DMG 2000 or a 3000 TC in the workshop. DMG. Yi Qing inwardly said, what trashy DMG, what I have is a black magic creation unique to this world. Of course that couldn't be said out loud, so Yi Qing acted mysteriously, and put on the act of as if to say, why should I tell you? The other 7 workers also gathered over. They are all people who commonly worked with boats, yet the 2 propellers were clearly the highest quality propellers they had ever seen. Even if they were to look for faults, to even find a single misplaced scratch to prove to that Yi Qing wasn't that perfect, was impossible. The workers' loud shouts and yells also woke up the napping Xia Muqing. She rubbed her still sleepy eyes and walked out onto the yacht deck. Her drowsy eyes became wide. It was the same cuteness as that of an anime girl. The pilot of the yacht also came out. Seeing the 2 propeller on the dock, he tripped over the door sill and fell face first onto the deck. You can really mill propellers. Xia Muqing walked on a brand new gangway onto the dock and incessantly stroked the 2 silvery white propellers. She also looked at Yi Qing with a look of having seen something absurd. Just a bit over an hour ago, This guy was still joking about gifting me 2 brand new propellers, so that I could still head out to sea tomorrow. Except this joke became a reality. What machine did you use to mill it? How can it be even more magical than magic? It's definitely a DMG 3000 TC, or it's WFL's M35.G complex milling center. The foreman was completely ashamed. Just before he was still joking about how it was impossible with everyone. Now a propeller that was even better than the original appeared in front of him. These 2 kind of machines plus their whole drill bit set, each have a price tag of several tens of millions, and that's only for the castrated version. The full version has already been embargoed for multiple years now. Our shipyard also has milling centers, except they're all domestic versions. Even with all 10 of them combined, they're only worth a single set of drill bits for those machines. In all of Zhongyun, I've never heard of any factory with these machines. Maybe Little Brother's machines are actually the embargoed complete versions. A worker sourly responded. During the Cold War, USSR obtained several embargoed large-scale milling centers from Japan. In the end they used them to create propellers, and had the West completely lose track of their submarine movements. Xia Muqing returned her gaze back to Yiqing, as if seeing an extremely powerful partner who was in possession of embargoed machines. Yiqing proudly smiled, a smile that said no comment. Xia Muqing also found this to be too ridiculous. What was made was civilian use-yacht propellers, not propellers for nuclear submarines, so where was the need for those embargoed machines? Of course Yiqing being in possession of the ability to produce precise and quick works, incomparable in all of Zhongyun, was undoubted. Weren't you guys making fun of him for not being able to make it even with a year? Xia Muqing also pretended to act like Yiqing, with her crossed arms and puffed chest. You guys even said that you'll pay $1 million for them. Now that they've been made, are you gonna buy them? Please relax, relax. My brother and sister, we're like this is all because of that fake alcohol. All that random gibberish, you really can't take it seriously. This group of workers were clearly very ashamed, and hated not being to find a hole to hide in.